The Extraordinary Rendition of Janos Farkas, Chapter 18. It was routine. Janos would sit in his chair as the two men dragged their chairs around and sat with him. He had given them names, Tom, Dick, and Harry. Tom on the right, Dick on the left, and Harry, the man who was watching through the mirror. Today the routine was broken. Janos sat in his chair, but the men didn't. It was routine. Janos would sit in his chair as the two men dragged their chairs around and sat with him. He had given them names, Tom, Dick, and Harry. Tom on the right, Dick on the left, and Harry, the man who was watching through the mirror. Today the routine was broken. Janos sat in his chair, but the men didn't come to him. "I have a story to tell you," he said, "a story about my childhood. You seem to be interested in my childhood. I guess you like children's stories." Janos started to tell his story. It was a story that he had worked on, amusing and entertaining himself throughout the night, about a young boy's first love to an unobtainable girl. It was an imaginative reworking of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, only the families were Bosnian and Serbian. His story was not completely out of whack with reality. Things like that had happened. The amusing part to Janos was how long he could fool them before they realized he was making it up. He had no more than just begun when the guard from the door came over and started strapping his legs to the heavy chair. "Kick at me," the guard said, "and I shall break one leg. Hit me, and I will break two." When his legs were secured and his arms strapped straight down along the back of the chair, he heard the familiar scraping of chairs as two figures emerged from behind the lights, dragging their chairs behind them. He stared at the silhouetted shapes, the silhouetted faces. Whoever they were not Tom and Dick. One wore plain khaki pants and a t-shirt. The other was in full uniform. As he came closer, Janos saw that it was Colonel Abbas. "We've had enough of your childish stories," Abbas said to him. "Now we want the story of the real Janos. Janos Farkas, the terrorist." "I am not a terrorist," Janos answered. "You are a terrorist because I say you are a terrorist," Abbas replied. "I would not be wasting my time with you if you were not. Now tell me about your life as a terrorist." "I have nothing to say." "Not answering is not an option. You can talk, or we can make you talk. Whichever you wish." Janos stared directly into Abbas's eyes. He wanted to show neither fear nor defiance, only that he was a man who would not bend or break. "Tell me about Paris," Abbas said. "It is a beautiful city. The food is good." "Tell me about Paris on the night of April 13th, 2 years ago. The night that a bomb was detonated at the metro station. 7 people were killed. 3 of them were Americans. 2 from the American embassy and the other, Colonel Martin Bates, a counterterrorism analyst for NATO. I know nothing about that. On April 13th that year I was opening a production of Lear in Brighton. Afterwards there was a big party for us at the Royal Albion Hotel. There were pictures of me at it in the paper the next day. Yes, your play conveniently opened the night of the bombing. There were rehearsals in the afternoon. I'm sure you rehearsed everything very well, including your quick trip across the channel. I was not in Paris that day." "Ah, Mr. Farkas, your answer is a lie. You see, we know you were in Paris that day. We even have security camera video of you from the La Marque station. You were there at 10:30 in the morning. So you see, what you're saying is not true. Saying you're not in Paris is a lie. Do you know what the answer to a lie is?" Janos looked at him, keeping his eyes level and neutral. They barely flinched when he felt the hard blow on the quadricep muscles in his right legs. He looked at the man who had delivered it, the man in the t-shirt. He had a smile on his face, the kind of smile you see in a man who enjoys his work. In his right hand, he was holding an 18-inch piece of rubber garden hose. From the weight of the blow, it had to be filled with lead shot. Perhaps you would like to lie again. Harb likes it when people lie. If you'll only tell the truth, he has nothing to do. I was telling the truth, Janos said. The rubber came down again, this time about an inch further up his thigh than the last blow. You see how it works? With each lie, the blow moves a little further up the leg. Eventually, it gets amazingly close to your penis and testicles. And then, Abbas said, pausing and poking his finger on Janos's left thigh, and then we start on your other leg. And we do it until your muscles are too bruised to walk and your testicles are too swollen for you to crawl. I cannot confess to something I have not done. We are not interested in your confession, Mr. Farkas. We are interested in two things. Who do you work for? Who runs your organization? Who is the mastermind, the centerpiece behind your act? Do you know who that is? Of course you do. That is what we want you to tell us. And second is how you do it. How you detonate a bomb at a precise moment when you are over 100 kilometers away. The rubber hose came down hard again. Abbas smiled. You must forgive Harb, he said. He anticipated that you were going to lie. Were you? I have nothing to say. I have been illegally kidnapped. Of course you have, Mr. Farkas. You have ignored the law, so now the law is ignoring you. I want to see someone from the Bosnian embassy. The Bosnian embassy does not know you are here. In fact, no one knows you are here. You're our little secret. Now, who do you work for? I work for nobody. Whack! Nobody? Nobody. Whack! Janos felt the rubber hose inching up his leg. He knew when the whacks were coming, could anticipate them, and he fought to overcome the tensing and hardening of the muscles that were a natural part of the anticipation. It was all he could do to keep from flinching, but he knew that a relaxed muscle would swell and bruise less than one pumped hard with blood. Whack! I am an actor, he said. I work for whatever producer or director hires me. Whack! There is a pain threshold, not when the body cannot stand it anymore, but when the body does not register it anymore. The point where the pain is already so intense that it is beyond feeling. The art of a good physical interrogator is to keep their subject just under that threshold, keeping the pain at a level where its intensity is at its fullest, not letting the subject slip into the narcotic-like trance of a pain coma. Harb was a master at his job. Whack! The rubber hose was already halfway up Janos's other leg. Whack! Tell me about your next job, what it was going to be, your next surprise for the world. Is America your next target? I have no next target. Whack! The intense pain was numbing. Janos wished he could reach the point where the brain said enough is enough, and shut the whole conscious body down, to sleep perchance to dream. He never got that far. The wax kept coming and the neurotransmitters kept racing through his brain cells, registering the pain right at the threshold. His penis lay on the left side of his pant legs, and there were only 3 or 4 more blows before the blows would reach it. His head hung down on his neck like a large weight without purpose. How do you detonate it? Whack! Do you have members of your group at the site? Whack! Where does the money come from? Whack! How do you get it? Whack! Does your sister detonate them? Whack! Where is your sister, Gisela? Whack! How long did she have an affair with Colonel Mountain Bates? Whack! Would you like to see your sister in here? We are not kind to women in here. That's the end of part 1 of chapter 18. Part 2 is online now.